Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we're going to give you a rundown of all of your catalysts this week as far as earnings, economic data, all of that. I will share with you some pretty exciting Tesla stock news as well, and generally discuss this week because tomorrow is the last day of Q2. A lot of people thought it was on Friday, but it's actually tomorrow, and it could mean a little extra volatility. I'll explain why in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel before we get started. If you guys want to come trade with us, every time I make a trade, I send out alerts. Link down below in the description of this video. Again, the main service that is provided over there is we spend hours every day going through smaller cap companies, filtering out the bad ones that are in the bad industries, bad management, executives with no skin in the game, and we try to identify the small caps that are in the right industries, like AI, that are going to be growing a lot, that are underappreciated, to try to find those 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x opportunities over the next 6, 12, 18 months. Not necessarily the next 5 or 10 years, but stocks that are underappreciated today. And we're doing that. It's a lot of work, but we are doing it, and we're seeing some incredible results already. But as you know, I think we have a bit of an AI super cycle coming as we get a lot more rate cuts over the next 18 months. And it's definitely something that I think is a unique service. That is something where most people don't have enough time to do that kind of work. And unless you do, you're never going to see those outsized returns unless you get lucky investing in, a stock or two. So check it out. Link down below in the description of this video if you want to. Check out the disclaimers. Again, if you invest your money, you are always subject to lose money if things do not go according to plan. Nonetheless, let's get started. Let's get started with some of your Tesla stock news. Tesla has just announced that they are nearing completion of their first LFP cell manufacturing factory in North America, which will reduce reliance on sourcing LFP batteries from China. As Sawyer Merritt writes on X, he says this factory is a big deal. Most people didn't even know Tesla was building its own LFP battery cell plant in the US. Right now, Tesla imports all LFP batteries for its Megapack product from China. Building them locally will reduce geopolitical risk and potentially lower cost, as some Tesla patents suggest its own LFP designs could be cheaper than even Chinese-sourced ones. Tesla also stopped selling lower cost standard range vehicles with LFP batteries in the US because the batteries didn't meet credit sourcing requirements. Now they'll be able to claim the 45x manufacturing credit for the battery modules and inverters, directly reducing cost. TBD on when and if that manufacturing credit will disappear through Trump's bill. Regardless, US made is good. Now, for the first time, Tesla will be able to use affordable US made LFP cells from a factory it owns and operates in Nevada in both its energy storage products and vehicles. This is huge news. See, Pelton on X says you cannot train AGI without batteries. China knows this. Anyone who's paying attention knows this. If we cannot make batteries, we lose. Elon Musk shares this and says, quote, batteries are critical to smooth out the power fluctuations from AI training and grid voltage drops, as even a small change in power causes AI training to fail. And Sawyer Merritt writes on X, Tesla should put this video on its homepage of this Model Y delivering itself directly to a customer's home. As many people as possible need to see this incredible footage. Could help sell more Teslas. He says he talked to Jose, whose car this was. He subscribed to FSD after watching it autonomously deliver itself to him. So the actual software used in this was the robotaxi leg of FSD. Now, we know over the next couple of months, as we've been told, this FSD, the main FSD version is going to merge with the robotaxi version, and presumably that's when you're going to be able to see FSD do what robotaxi can. And that's essentially when everyone that purchased FSD will or should have the optionality to, let their vehicles become robo-taxis. That should be by the end of this year, as Elon has previously said. Now, in broader market news today, Trump has again said that Canada should be the 51st U.S. state. And Trump says we have a buyer for TikTok. Trump on Elon Musk said, I think he's a wonderful guy. I know he'll do well. But he does say that Elon Musk's comments were not appropriate. And Trump says we are halting discussions with Canada until it eliminates specific tariffs. Now, let me be honest. Why the markets recovered on Friday, even though they're, the trade talks are being halted with Canada, is the fact of the matter is Canada at this point doesn't matter if we can get trade deals with Europe, Mexico, and China. Okay, one country, unless it's China, is not going to, let's say, make or break the economy, right? It's not going to make or break the inflation outlook. Again, unless it was China, because so many U.S. businesses do business in China. There's also the USMCA trade deal that is still being honored between Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. And most products fall under that consortium. So there's only selective things that don't, that would be subject to higher tariff rates. Okay, so it's not really that big of a deal to not have a trade deal with Canada, or not have a favorable trade deal with Canada. Now, odds are good that we do get a trade deal with Canada, that Canada drops their VAT tax, their value-added tax, some of their, technology taxes, if you will, on U.S. companies. So I think it's really just a matter of time there, and that is why markets bounced on Friday. It's not, as bad as it was before when we were kind of in limbo with China. Europe trade deals looked far off as well. Now it looks like China trade deal has been signed. Europe should be coming along here soon as well. Now you have Canada that's kind of stalled, right? It's not the same situation it was previously. And I think, again, markets are kind of just over the whole trade stuff anyways, now that the deal with China has apparently been signed days ago. And Trump says, Ma'am Danny, to receive no funds if elected. This is the guy in New York that is like a super socialist. Trump says we should be at 1 or 2% interest rates. And again, with the Fed that he is going to nominate in early 2026, he's going to share the same view as Trump. And that's going to help get a lot more rate cuts and, again, help fuel this super cycle I believe is coming for AI stocks and for the markets broadly. Like, I think this is one of those opportunities where you really want to lean into it, in my personal opinion. Like, how many opportunities do you get in your lifetime with a brand new technology that is going to revolutionize the world like AI? I mean, the internet was the last instance. Other than that, there's been nothing since the early 2000s, 26 years, almost 26 years, since you had something like this. And I mean, if you went full tilt in the internet, after the bubble got hashed out and all of that, you have done very, very well. And I think that's going to be a similar situation here with AI, hopefully without the bubble part. Trump says Iran probably had 3+1 nuclear sites, so 4. Trump says he would lift Iran sanctions if they can be peaceful. Trump says we have a stupid person at the Federal Reserve. Trump on the tariff deadline, he says, don't think I need to extend, but could. Trump says in 2 weeks, we will reveal the purchaser of TikTok. Trump says we have a buyer for TikTok, a group of very wealthy people. Trump says Iran nuclear ambition set back at least for a period. And Trump says he does not want to pay for 10-year debt at a higher rate. Trump says that China requires Apple and U.S. companies. Trump says that a positive relationship with China is beneficial. I think we can all agree that's true. Trump says China is producing magnets for the United States, and we have a beneficial agreement with China. Also in the news, Trump's tax bill is advancing as undecided senators yield. Now, as far as the option chain for this week, again, Monday is the end of Q2. Now, why that's important is because sometimes at the end of a quarter, at the end of a year, hedge funds and institutions are going to rebalance portfolios. A lot of them rebalance based on quarterly numbers, right? If they have a, let's say, 20% allocation to technology, and technology goes to, 25% of their portfolio over the course of a quarter, if those stocks go up, then they may trim some of those stocks and add to different areas, vice versa. If they have an allocation to 20% defensives, right, like food companies or, certain staples, then they may trim those and put that money elsewhere. So it will be fascinating to see what happens on Monday. Does technology outperform? Do defensives outperform? Do dividends? Does healthcare outperform? Where is the money going to start off or end the last day of Q2? Tuesday starts the first day of Q3. So there could be some shifts in portfolios, which specifically, for a stock like Tesla, could bring some added volatility. Now, on Friday, there was a lot of activity on the options chain for Tesla. At the 325 call, and this was Friday of last week for July 3rd of this upcoming week, which is Thursday. Friday is the 4th, and markets will be closed. You had 30,000 for volume at the 325 call, 16,000 for volume at the 327.50 call, 28,000 for volume at the 330 call, 5,000 for volume at the 332.50, about 23,000 for volume at the 335, 13,000 for volume at the 337.50, 21,000 for volume at the 340 call, and about 30,000 for volume at the 350 call. So definitely quite a bit of option activity overall last week for the July 3rd expiration. Even the $400 call had over 10,000 for volume on that specific strike. So I do think there's going to be a level of, let's call it, volatility for this upcoming week, mixed with portfolio rebalancing and some of the other catalysts we will have, like JOLTS job openings, ISM manufacturing numbers coming out this week. Jerome Powell has a speech as well, which all of that could get a little interesting. Now, July tends to be a really good month overall for stocks. July, historically speaking, in the last 10 years, has given you an over 3% positive return. And generally speaking, there tends to be a sense of optimism in July. You're getting closer to the start of a new year. Wall Street starts to look out to, let's say, 2026 right now. And there's a lot to like about what 2026 could look like. More cuts from the Fed, maybe, a pretty good inflation dynamic, the economy hopefully holding up, trade deals getting done, the tax bill getting done. There's a lot to like about 2026. And right now, we're starting to look forward to that. And that's why stocks are at all-time highs. You also have earnings estimates broadly in this market that are at all-time highs as well. So despite the tariffs, despite the, all of the negative things we faced this year, earnings estimates for this market are at all-time highs. So if that's truly what moves stocks, it makes sense why stocks are at all-time highs with earnings estimates at all-time highs. Now, most of the time, you beat those estimates. So even then, estimates at all-time highs, you tend to beat those. Well, yeah, you see why there can be further upside in markets. And then consider over the next, 12, 18 months, we're going to be getting probably 10 rate cuts or more. And yeah, that's going to fuel a more optimistic environment, a better environment for a stock, some of your high beta stocks, stock like Tesla. So, yeah, I do think this week is going to be interesting. I'm overall pretty bullish and optimistic on this week. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the next video. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this video. And we'll specifically talk like where I think Tesla can go and some of the charts as well, because you're kind of at a critical level from a technical perspective. So hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you guys do want to come trade with us, again, check out that link down below in the description of this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.